Cloud9 fans out there. Definitely, I'm sure, plenty of TSM fans. And Team Impulse, all smiles in their locker room. They'll take to the Rift first up in our first game of the day against Coast. MASH looking rather relaxed, and their new support, Con Quan, getting ready at his practice computer. And then Team Liquid, who are already in the building, getting in some practice time before they face off against Cloud9 in our second game of the day. Hello, I'm James Dash Patterson, and we are in for an exciting day of matches as teams look to make moves while the getting is still good. So sharing their smarts on the desk today, I've got Aiden Zyrene Moon, Joshua Jat-Leesman, and David Freak Turley. Guys, it's good to be back in the studio after a week off.
It is. It's been a week too long. Thankfully, Aiden and I got to cast on Wednesday, so we're warmed up and ready, but it's going to be a bunch of fun games.
Yeah, only 2 weeks left in the North American LCS regular season as well. It's really speeding along. 4 games, so the teams that make their moves this week are going to be pretty big moves.
Crunch time, to say the least. Well, at the top of the pack right now is Team Solo Mid, who are returning to the NALCS with a big international win under their belts, taken first at IEM Katowice.
Woo! Yeah, TSM. Honestly, it was a really exciting tournament to see because it was the first time in a while, if ever, the TSM has found success in an international tournament. You'd have to look back like 3 or 4 years ago to the beginnings of League of Legends to see that.
MLG Anaheim 2012. CLG EU,
Bam.
Fnatic, Curse EU were there, and SK.
They did it.
Looked it up today.
Yeah, but it was a great performance. But the things they have to worry about now is a little bit of hangover from that event. Remember, that patch was 5.4 that they played on in Katowice. Other teams stayed home and practiced, got to play a lot more on the live servers, 5.5, which looks to be a very meta-bending patch. It could change a lot of things in the game, and they may be a little bit slow to catch on to some of those trends.
Yeah, and I don't know how much it's going to be actual hangover from it, as it is going to be them trying new things and it just not working out. Because I feel like TSM at this point are very international competition focused team. They're looking at MSI, they're looking at Worlds and playoffs here. So what they're going to try to do is adjust to 5.5 and use the regular season as experimentation for them to just diversify their playbook in preparation for playoffs.
And actually, I'm really glad you mentioned MSI and looking to international competition, because now all the NA teams get to say, guys, we're in a strong region. North America's good at League of Legends, and now every team can look forward to playing at MSI, not as practice, but as furthering the fact that North America is actually pretty darn good here. Now I want to see what it does to the teams that aren't TSM. Like what happens to CLG and Impulse and C9 and CLG to say, now we really want to win, so we can go beat up Koreans too. And that's going to be really fun to watch.
Yeah, basically IEM gave us a lot of more questions instead of answers that we were looking for.
Yeah. All right, well, definitely everyone's going to come out swinging. We do have a 3-way tie for 5th place, and there are still enough games for Team Dignitas and Winter Fox, who are tied in 8th, to claim one of the final berths. So, as Freak, you mentioned, teams are definitely going to be fighting tooth and nail these last couple weeks to make it to that playoffs.
Yeah, and I think one of the teams I'm most looking forward to in this final run is Winter Fox. So Glebe is back on the roster. Smart for them. They were 4-4 with Glebe. They were 1-5 without him. But 3 of those losses with Glebe was week 1 of Some Squad, and then against TSM and against CLG. These are pretty forgivable losses, and 4-4 looks like a pretty good record at that point. They're only 2 games behind that big tie for 5th place. And in fact, 2 of the games that Winter Fox plays are against Team 8 and Team Liquid, who are in that tie. So I expect these guys, if they do well, to actually make that surge and actually squeak into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it feels like Winter Fox is in a bit of a restoration mode. They're just trying to make sure they become a summer split team. I think that 4-4 with Glebe when they made the roster changes was because they thought they were in a good spot and that they could rise higher. The fact that that change massively backfired means they're going back to that middle of the pack team to hopefully become a middle of the pack team again and stay in the LCS.
And I actually want to look at their opponent today. It's Team 8. So Slushy and Porpoise Pops have been stepping up constantly throughout the last couple of weeks here. And with 5.5 landing, it's not going to be on Calitroll solely to play tanks in the top lane, because it could come from the jungle on Porpoise Pops. So it frees him up to play carries, which he's seen a lot of success on.
I hope that happens.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Well,
We've been waiting for it.
To that point, teams this week are going to be playing on the 5.5 patch, and chief among those changes is going to be a series of adjustments that will impact who and how the jungle is going to be played.
Yeah, we've seen the European LCS being played on the 5.5 patch. They have typically slightly different jungle tastes than North American LCS, but some examples of what happened over there on the 5.5 patch. There was 0 Vi games, 0 Jarvan 4 games, our first Fizz match, our first Zac jungle of the split. Sejuani was banned 5 times, so a lot of differences there. And I think the test for the North American teams will be which jungle style do they want to play and how quickly can they make that happen. Because I do feel like the Cinderhulk junglers are definitely in for a large appearance, but You got to put more damage elsewhere on your team. You need to make sure you have that if you're running a tank jungler, and it's going to be an adjustment period. And how quickly can the teams do it?
Yeah, and what's cool about that actually is, as long as they played an Italy game, and I don't quite remember if they did, all 4 jungle enchants got bought last week or yesterday or so in the EU LCS. So like, all the styles of junglers
Strategic
are in the
diversity!
meta, like all of them. So I really want to see, who does craft the fun composition, who does make those leaps forward and fit a team that works with all the various champions you can play.
Yeah, and I like the idea of what you said, Jat, where changes to the jungle are going to affect the rest of the map as you need to find adjustments in the other lanes in order to make the new junglers work. Well, and for those of you that were following the EU LCS, we did experience some technical difficulties that caused interruptions in our coverage of the Gambit versus Elements game, but we wanted to take a minute to give a special shout out to their Week 8 MVP from Unicorns of Love. It's Power of Evil. Now, he had a fantastic play on signature champions such as Syndra and Cassiopeia, helping to secure 2 critical wins in the middle of the table to secure a playoff spot. And in one of the wilder games we've seen in maybe ever, Power of Evil helped Unicorns secure their 2nd win over Fnatic this split. Now we're going to come back over to the NA, though, and pull up the standings. Starting the day in 1st place, it's Team Solo Mid. CLG is 1 game back in 2nd, and Cloud9 holds 3rd. Team Impulse had a big week 7 to claim sole possession of 4th place. Then sharing 5th, we've got that 3-way tie, Gravity, Team8, and Team Liquid, each with 7 wins and 7 losses. Rounding out the standings, it's Team Dignitas and WinterFox tied for 8th and Coast in 10th. We'll check back on those after our 5 games today, starting with Team Coast versus Impulse. Then Team Liquid will take on Cloud9, followed by TSM versus Gravity. That's all coming up, but now let's send things over to the guys on the caster desk to take us into the action.
Thank you very much, Dash. Hello, everyone. I am Rivington Bislin III, and this is Sam, Kobe, Hartman, Kensler. I think we're ready to start the week off.
Very ready. I mean, I'm still getting used to your beardless face, though.
It'll be back soon.
It's shocking.
We're already a few weeks in, like when the sequoias burn down, it grow back stronger. That's what we're aiming for. We're, however, going to set up for our first match as well. Team Coast versus Team Impulse. Kobe, this is a huge game for Coast, needless to say. A loss means the team is locked into auto-relegation. A win means they live to fight another day.
Yeah, and with all of that on the line, the team is fielding a new roster. Impaler and Sheep were moved over to Coast's sister team, Final 5, which are currently playing in the Challenger Series and are themselves trying to fight their way into the LCS. And they say that move was not a vote of no confidence in Coast, but it does definitely make their fight harder. Kwan is essentially switching spots with Sheep. He just recently joined Final 5 himself, and he did help the team secure their only wins of the Challenger Series. Meanwhile, WT Heaven is a brand new player to the competitive scene and was not previously playing on a Challenger team. For the new players, this is definitely a really good opportunity to get some exposure with the LCS fans and some really, really valuable experience on the LCS stage.
It's been a toss-up. We've had performers that came in like Keith, and then others that have just faltered because of the pressure of the stage. Even ManCloud himself had some trouble on the way back.
Number one thing, all the Coast players need to remember their runes.
That's right. They've got to work their work cut out for them, however, because they're facing Team Impulse. They have been taking down some of the top teams in the league, and as Kobe said last week, stealing their lunch money.
in the last 3 games, they did take down, first place TSM, they took down Cloud9, and they defeated Team Liquid to take 4th place for themselves. The team, they've really come together. They've shown a lot more team bonding, and they're looking to show stability now. So with the LCS switching to patch 5.5 and their opponents being pretty much new players here, Team Impulse, they have not really played against these guys. So I'm interested to see if Team Impulse and Rush specifically, how he will adapt to the new meta. I don't think that he's a guy that will stray away from those AD bruisers, so I'm more looking for how is Rush going to deal with the influx of tank junglers and play against them.
We'll see. Probably just play Lee Sin. Instead of focusing each game on how their opponents will play, Xiao Wei Xiao says instead they work on perfecting their own game.
因为我觉得总的来说，这个赛季你不管是打哪一支队伍，你不可能是专门会研究为了研究那支队伍而训练嘛？因为你训练只是为了提升自己的实力，而不是为了去打败某一支队伍。我们就不会在乎队伍的强弱以及是什么队伍，我们就会以提高自己的实力以及队伍的整体实力为目标去进行一些训练。
It's quite an interesting perspective on it because I'm sure a lot of teams would say you do need specific strats for a team.
Yeah, definitely a good philosophy just in life in general. Constantly looking for self-improvement there. Shall we shall.
So let's check out the starting lineup, see if this all helps as they get into the game. On the blue side to start off, it will be Team Coast. That's Chris in the top lane, WT Heaven now in jungle, ManCloud in mid, Mash at AD carry, and Conquan at support.
And on the red side, it's Team Impulse. Up top is Impact. In the jungle, Rush. Mid, Xiao, AD carry, Apollo, and support, Adrian Ma.
And one thing that is kind of different with these teams and the problems that some of them faced is when we saw impacts, they were kind of worn on their sleeve. We saw that it was a few in Champion Select, and the team kind of expressed that. And then we knew that Rush was a little crazy, and it seems like since those have been shored up, these guys are a crazy team, right? Impulse just does whatever they want in the games. Compositions can be crazy. They get it. Coast, it's been kind of muddled. We don't really know what's causing it. They've done a lot of swaps. It's just not working on paper, and it's not working on the Rift form this time.
Well, let's see if it works out with the new roster here.
That's right.
Remember, Victor is disabled currently due to that visual bug that we found over in Europe. So no Victor all weekend. Already, though, big focus on the jungler. Sejuani is just ridiculously strong in the current patch with the current numbers that she has in her kit. And Lee Sin, obviously, you mentioned, that is specifically targeted at Rush.
Still getting a banned out there. He's actually had quite a few double jungle bans towards him throughout these games. So a great source of being able to get some focus out of the opposing team there.
Yeah, and he has only played these 80 bruisers. The Lee Sin, the Vi, the Jarvan,
Right.
Rek'Sai. Those are the only champions that he has played.
Just say
with
playmaking.
already Lee Sin and Rek'Sai banned out here. Even Rengar's gone. Jarvan is nerfed with his armor being taken down this patch. So maybe we'll see the Vi from Rush. Or something, maybe he will embrace the tank junglers now. I don't expect it from him, but he could very well, play something like especially Nunu really strong with the new Cinderhulk item because he already gets extra HP from consuming camps. But there's so many options. Zac is very good as well, still up. Nautilus could even go for support. We've seen, there's just so many options right now on 5.5. Everyone's still trying to figure out the optimal setups here. And it's also changed the team fights quite a lot.
Ooh. Got a Gragas in the top lane here,
Yes,
and we're
we
not
do.
watching Team 8 play. This is going to be probably for Chris.
Yeah,
If anything.
this is pretty funny because I've actually been talking to Impaler quite a lot because I met up with him in solo queue, and he's playing a bunch of jungle Gragas. So this could be a jungle Gragas, but he's not on the team anymore. So maybe he was talking to WT Heaven. It could be the top lane Gragas, as you said. We've seen it before already.
That's true.
Cali Trolls played in the top lane, but it is a decent jungle as well. He got base mana buff in the current patch. And he does have one of the few disengage ultimates coming from junglers. So, let's see how it plays out.
Yep, and one of the very few times Impact's going to be able to get Rumble as well. I think this might be time number 3 for him. They've seen some good success on that previously. Graves as well for Apollo. He's been putting up some big numbers actually within the past few games. He's 15, 0, and 14 on that Graves, so huge numbers there. What will it be for Coast? Smiles on the faces still, keeping high spirits, looking for some W's.
I mean, really Coast's biggest asset right now is the element of surprise. Bringing in 2 new people. Mashme even was talking about he feels great with the new team. He feels like it's even stronger than they were before. So we'll see how they come together. Already a very beefy front line, and it looks like it will be the jungle Gragas that we will get to see here. So when there are so many takes in the game, and both teams start getting really strong front lines, it actually changes the team fights a lot. And we get to see more choices during team fights. So I think it really does highlight team fight skill a lot more in the current meta. Because you have to make so many more choices between peeling and diving the enemy front line. Even within the team fight, there are multiple instances where you have to change your mind here. And like I said, Gragas with one of the few disengage ultimates is very beneficial because keeping your AD carry up nowadays is the main goal. If you can keep your AD carry up longer, you've got a much higher chance at taking the enemy team down.
Very, very true. We also saw the video recently from Doublelift that said, he wasn't liking Vayne because you needed burst, because you needed that punch, he said. But with these tanks, it wouldn't be surprised if we saw Vayne coming in some of these picks to chunk them down with Kog'Maw. However, the Nidalee and the Janna for Team Impulse, as we discussed a few other things, saw a lot of Nidalee over, I wouldn't say a lot, but still saw Nidalee, we should say, over in Europe.
Yep, so Team Impulse, they're going with the disengage, long-range damage here. They've got the Nidalee, they have Rumble, both very capable of doing long-range damage to anybody who gets poked out.
Yep.
Janna for the disengage here to try and protect Graves. And now Janna, she is the premier disengage support, and we always talk about how she sort of, counters hard engage, but really it depends on how hard the engage is. You can, if you bring a hard enough engage, then you can blow up Janna. You can.
Well,
Yeah.
I was trying to think of who was playing the Hack Room. Luca. I believe it was Luca we were seeing him play it, and he blew through a Janna ultimate. So you're saying that initiation, the whole team's ready and raring to go.
Things like Annie and Vi can blow her up. Let's take a look here, though. All right,
Cho'Gath getting locked in. Probably saw it a little bit before, but last night, King, Assassin from King played this as well in the mid lane.
Right, it could very well be a solo lane Cho'Gath, either mid or top.
Right.
Also, decent jungler, since we're mentioning all the flex
geez.
positions, because his Feast does get half cooldown if you use it in the jungle as well, so you can stack it up there quicker. That also does work for that also does look for lane minions though, so it's not only a jungle buff. But yeah, AP heavy solo lane Cho'Gath puts out a substantial and surprising amount of damage. Plus, the silence is one of the biggest tools here.
Yeah.
Very few silences are left in the game. With all of the nerfs to a lot of the assassins that were wielding silences, there are very few left in the game, and Cho'Gath has a very long and AoE silence. So if he can stuff Rumble or even Yasuo, if Yasuo gets locked up by a silence,
Ooh. Awesome.
Bold pick here for Xiao is Xiao. Oh, it looks like it will be Mandatory Cloud holding on. They're still swapping. All right, we'll wait on that. But yeah, Xiao is Xiao. Xiao is Xiao has been one of the players to flirt with this Yasuo pick over and over. He doesn't, well, he can use Janna for the setup here, but it's pretty much going to be Xiao is Xiao pulling off his own plays.
Interesting pickup for him. We'll see if that's what really the team had in mind. Maybe we can figure that out with the way they play it in-game. Xiao recently saying, I kind of miss the old Yasuo. Maybe he'll show us some of that in his own style.
I mean, yeah, there were a couple of little buffs given back to Yasuo after he was nerfed too hard. But a lot of people a lot of people have been really, really hesitant to go back to the champion. And with so many bruisers here, we'll see if Xiao can take advantage of the movement here. Because if he does get stuffed by one of those silences, you can easily follow up, Leona stuns with ruptures as well.
It's been a while. It's hard to push a Cho'Gath out of mid lane. It's like pulling your own hair out.
The
He just
sustain
keeps
is
coming back. All right, everybody. So head over to Twitter. Share your thoughts on this match. Send hashtag CST win or hashtag TIP win to @LOL Esports. We will check in on the fan vote shortly, and we'll see if you were right or if you were wrong. Crowd is ready. The fans are cheering for who they want to win. It's Coast versus Impulse, and we are on the Rift.
Yes, we are. And this epic week of League of Legends continues with more and more diverse picks.
I like it.
North America continuing.
Cyrene hit it. The word strategic diversity. Achieved.
think that's been used enough.
At maximum capacity. Well, we're going to get all these words together today.
All right. Well, we do have Impulse grouping up here, so we'll see if they run into Coast. Defensive warding so far from Coast, and they haven't seen anyone so far from Impulse, so they'll be playing safer than usual. And, all right. So they did end up with the.
Oh. Ooh.
Yee. Oh.
He's a big guy, but he can still tuck it in. Heaven Time gets out of there. Just squeezes by that Nidalee spear, and it looks like Impulse is going to get the wards they want. But nicely mirrored by Coast as they see this happening. They get theirs out, and the do-si-do over the early warding to figure out who's in what lane has been finished.
Yes, always a good idea to keep an Aurelia down. Chris's Aurelia banned quite a lot. Not as much as Calitroll's Aurelia, but definitely one of Chris's more favorable champions.
Yep.
When they had a one of their games that was closer to a win. It was on Aurelia versus COG. Almost took that one down. Interesting little maneuver down here. Even though both teams got deep wards, and they saw them coming down to lane. It will be standard lane setups. Junglers starting on the opposite sides. This will be very interesting because Rush on Nidalee, definitely going to look for him to make some early plays here, whether it is invading or even just looking for lane harass.
We'll see how Heaven Time gets through this jungle. With Rush having all that sustain, he should be good to go, as you were saying. This lane in the mid as well. Definitely one we'll have to keep an eye on. 6-3 already here in CS as Manproud is just Vorpal spiking into 3.
Yeah, I'm glad you point that one out because double melee champions in the mid lane with standard lanes for the junglers to have freedom.
Yeah.
I definitely expect mid lane to have ward priority for the early wards coming from the junglers, as well as some early visits. Down bottom, no, some aggressive start here from Quan and Mash.
I haven't seen too much of that Lucian here over in North America. Still forgiven given his hand on it, but that early game, just caster AD. It hurts a lot. Adrian's figuring that out. And level 3 here soon for ManCloud. Xiao goes for a little bit of harass and misses, so you can see him just trying to keep down ManCloud, but that sustain to the passive. It's almost impossible. They're just going to sit there and farm easy.
Yeah,
Miss it.
You can see him sitting inside the creep wave, constantly throwing out the Feral Scream to get harassed down on Xiao. Slowly whittle him down, gain that lane control. Cho'Gath also very easy to shove the lane with because those Vorpal spikes are constantly going to be doing damage to multiple minions.
He also has not leveled Rupture, so he's just going for that sure shot of the Scream to make sure Xiao's taking damage and the wave is pushed.
Yeah, the AP Cho'Gath, generally you max the Scream, whereas Jungle Cho'Gath generally maxes the spikes for the jungle clear. Here comes Rush, and there is the early mid lane focus from actually both junglers. Ward coming out there from WT Heaven, whereas Rush actually goes in for a little bit of harass, trying to support Xiao, help him shove that lane up, and deal with the oppressive laning of a mid lane Cho'Gath. Xiao, though, obviously very focused on his last hitting as usual, up in CS versus Cho'Gath at the moment, as he shoves back the lane and returns to buy.
Oh. So knowing there's a ward.
No mid laner here for Rush. He should not take that fight, If Xiao recalls, it's very, very dangerous to even try and trade with Heaven Time. So cost him his flash. A little bit of miscoordination there, not making the move with your mid laner.
Oh, very nice Howling Gale to stop that. Apollo could have taken quite a bit of damage. And we have a top lane tussle here. Chris taking a few harpoons. Be one more overcharged auto attack. Heaven Time will control on the Scuttle Crab. We'll see if Impact makes a move off of this one. He's just playing aggressive.
Rush is recalling too.
Don't think he's going to be able to change it just yet. Chris is low on mana, so he can only offer auto attacks here. Really, it looks like they're going to get first blood out of this. Jungler did back the flash, however, making sure that they used all gap closers first before he does so.
Yeah, and they had to wait on cooldowns, or they both decided to flash for that to try and get first blood. No cooldowns though. Don't want to just flash and sit there auto-attacking. So early moves here for WT Heaven. Looking pretty good.
Finally got that Rupture, clears the shield, and still getting some nice damage on. Level 6 for this. Could be big. Xiao is actually running barrier, so that kill potential is a little less here onto ManCloud as Mash and Conquan head it back to lane. Overall, the early part of the game, good on both junglers to get a little bit of pressure. Flashes have been blown only to that top side, so it may be a return here for WT Heaven.
Yeah, both top laners using their teleports to get back to lane, so we will not see those early game teleport plays down bottom around Dragon. So the junglers now can feel safer to gank whichever lane they please. Thing you always have to have in the back of your mind is the top laner teleports for your early game ganks, but both of them should have called that those are down now. Impact with the early level 6 here. He does have Equalizer available.
Get the flash out. He says, if I don't have mine, you don't get yours. And he forces Chris back quite quickly. You're talking a bit about how Chris had a pretty good game on Aurelia. That's when the team focused him quite a bit. He was able to get out, really dodge out on the fact that they kept putting resources to that top lane. So yeah, it's good that they kind of leave him to the wayside. Impact can do what he wants. Actually had Rumble against Coast last time, so he knows this dance.
Yeah. Now, Impulse able to eke out a decent CS lead in the early game. Their gold advantage is pretty much all just from CS at this point, as far as the laning phase goes. But that's very, very minimal. There's an increased importance on team fighting, especially mid and late game now in the new meta, as we talked about. And when we do get towards that phase, as we mentioned, there's 4 melee champions here for Coast with this this dog pile composition that they decided to build, which generally has kind of a hard problem time versus Janna. But the thing is, Cho'Gath has a lot of range with his abilities, and ManCloud is going early AP. And then Gragas, as we said, can split up the enemy team. So if they can catch somebody out and just dogpile on one person when Impulse are split up, might be able to pull it off, because you can relocate Janna with the Gragas ultimate.
That's true.
And try and take someone down while they're isolated.
Su has the better displacement or replacement, if you will. 8 minutes on, Dragon looked to be uncontested here. Yep. Heaven's coming out of base to go for his red, and Impulse make that move to head down. Good control. No teleport's going to be coming from the top lane. We knew that before. Impact again going hard onto Chris.
Equalizer on cooldown. Gaining a large amount of lane advantage here. Impact definitely bullying Chris up in the top lane.
Yep. Starting to see a discrepancy in the bit of the CS there, as well as the jungle rush is making sure to continuously hit those camps over and over again. The lanes, they seem to be calling that they're okay, so he doesn't have to approach too many times. That first dragon's going to allow them to kind of sit a little bit, get these lanes farmed out even more.
Yeah. Cloud. Oh. Pretty good exchange there, because he'll be able to sustain up much easier than Xiao. Xiao has gone early Vamp Scepter, though, to try and match sustain. Again, though, mid lane focus here from Jungler.
And we do see Skirmisher Saber here on WT Heaven.
Oh, he got it.
Could hit
got
it.
Ulti.
Will he lock it down as well? That's going to be the ultimate from Xiao, but he just dashes and flashes. Gets himself to safety. That barrier comes up pretty nicely for him there.
All right, ManCloud using his ultimate on Xiao is going to slow down the stacking because you do not get that refund. Right. But he's already got 3 stacks already, so he's growing.
He's getting there.
Just fine.
Gotta eat your vitamins and your Xiaos. See if Rush can get his hand here in the pie.
Snuck in.
He throws one. That's going to be a nice hit onto ManCloud. The rupture's close, but he dodges left.
There it is.
Xiao said, wait a minute. I was trying to get in on that too.
No assist for Xiao, but more curious is no flash blown from ManCloud. He had his flash the entire time. Could have flashed either spear, to be honest, and decided to hold on to it. Now the jungle invade after the successful gank here from Rush, and pretty much a solo plays here from Rush. Now he used his ward to see if the blue was up, so he doesn't get to use his ward to see if Heaven Time's there, or WT Heaven, excuse me.
I did it too. I did it too.
And able to get the steal off anyway.
That was a spot on Solar Flare onto Apollo, but it does not look like he matters. Getting the sun out of his eyes, still able to fire back. The trade pretty much in the favor of Coast there. But it doesn't look like they want to go in just yet with that ult being down again. 10.5 minutes in. Things not really panning out just yet for either team, but it looks like Impulse is set here to continue with a slight lead with that first dragon.
All right, Rush continuing to look for some moves. He just left the pink ward as Chris went aggressive. So a bit suboptimal timing there. Let's see if Chris goes for another one, though. Rush is now in the area. Oh, he hopped the wall already.
Oh! Body block by Minion.
Rush is getting frustrated here. He was just barely in the wrong position both times that Chris went aggressive. He was expecting the push in here. Let's see if they can still get it, though. Gragas is on the way.
They luckily have quite a bit of time here to mess with this, even though they've been here already for quite some time, and I think they need to stop. This is exactly what we talked about before. Chris being very slippery in these situations. They are going to be able to get it.
So,
and they did pull ManCloud out of mid lane.
I like the dodging 2 minions there for Chris, but the stun it looked like he panicked a little bit and stunned before anyone had even gotten tower aggro. So his Equilibrium strike there on cooldown for when the actual dive took place. And without the Equilibrium strike, not able to buy enough time for Gragas to arrive. Just barely too late. Big early lead here for Team Impulse. And that is 2 kills on the jungle Nidalee. We have really seen these jungle Nidalees just take off in the mid game as well. Rush with a very good early start here. Now he's got a huge mid-game spike with the jungle item completed plus Zork shoes.
Looks like Cinder Hulk as well for that Skirmisher Saber for WT Heaven, and we were wondering, would Rush go tank? Would Rush go with what's been happening?
Exactly. Like I said, I don't really expect him to go for the tanks, but Nidalee is something new as well. So he is doing something we haven't seen from him before in the LCS yet. Definitely has put the time in to practice the champion, though, as we can see. And we'll see, you know, one of the other big things about Gragas is the percentage health damage that he does have makes him pretty good in the current meta, but there's not anybody on Impulse that is going to stack health. So, won't help as much as you would think. Cho'Gath, though, with the true damage ultimate, definitely will be a huge boon for them if they can get one of these team fights going in their favor. And it will have to be one of those comebacks for Coast.
Morello Namakan from him on Cho'Gath. That's going to be nice to keep the heals down, if necessary, from some of the champions. But this gank on the bottom lane, I was wondering what Impulse would do with that knowledge of WT Heaven here. Looks like they keep the pressure on the bottom lane, because we saw Coast is trying to go hard towards that red buff. Looks like they actually got impulses during this.
Both junglers attracted by the low turret here. Looking to make some plays.
They can. 30 seconds onto Dragon. It's a good spot still for Rush to be. He doesn't really have to go anywhere just yet. Looks like he's going to grab Wolves, and they'll hover around this area.
Yeah.
Teleport's going to be up. Might see a pretty big fight coming out of this one. The Equalizer is there, and Chris just used his ultimate, I think, to push this wave.
Oh, here goes the play.
Heyo, flash on to Adrian. Still has the ulti that pushes Conquan back actually into the fray. Teleports at the same time. Neither are stopped, so we're going to get a good one. The Battle Royale in the bottom lane.
Oopsie.
Equalizer goes down a little short of what it needed to be. Still able to pick up the kill in the scraps. A few more on this one. They scrub that one down. Conquan gets hit up, and it looks like Chris will not be able to get out alive. The turret gets hit. Great focus by Impulse to make sure that they didn't get tunneled in on the kills there. They come up with 3, and nobody goes down.
Ooh, yeah. Definitely looked like the members of Coast were still working on their communication during that defense of the bottom turret.
Yeah.
And Impulse do not give you time to work that out. Gragas ultimate going down and then trying to sort of still go aggressive, but that bought time for Rush to arrive, and they just annihilated them as soon as he got down there. So it's going to be a really rough comeback for Team Coast. When you do have the 4 melee, it's a very hard team to make a comeback on unless you have like Sivir as your AD carry and you're able to chase people down. But here it is. So the double teleports come in. Coast do have the extra man advantage, but there's disengage, and Chris goes offensive right after it and have time getting caught right there. Rush able to land the spear and destroy him with that mid-game spike that we saw after the early 2 kills here for Rush. Ridiculous damage, and the turret, good focus there from Adrian. And the ball finishing off the turret to save Impact.
They were like, Impact Flash, dude. No, just kidding. So they cleared out wards. Whoa! Conquan says, I do not have a stop button. There is only go. Pedal to the metal. Let's keep it up. Impact's going to get blown away on that one. Was it Heaven saving him? The turnaround. One last shot. How deep is Apollo going to go? They're trying to stand in front and save for Chris here. All those Transcendent Blades, however, are going to fire through. You can't block them. They do get them out. Oh! Yeah, that's the scary thing for an AD carry. You're playing against Xiao Wei Xiao, and you're playing against the Yasuo, so we're going to get to see that again.
Yeah. We'll see how Xiao Wei Xiao takes off in this game. Because he's facing so many tanks as well, he's going right into the Blade of the Rune King after his Shiv.
Yeah.
So he will have no problem dealing with Cho'Gath or Gragas. Yeah, I don't know. This looks really, really difficult for Coast to make the comeback this time around. Impulse playing really well so far. And the dog pile, they almost caught out. All right, let's take a look at the solo here. Xiao just, I feel like he was just kind of baiting Mashpee right there. He's like pretending to lag into the minions or something. Just
like
walks right up into melee range.
Oh, I was watching the blue fight. I'm actually fighting someone myself.
Maybe they were both watching the upper river right there. I feel like both of those guys were not really paying attention.
I'd love to think so, because I know I do.
But yeah, you know, Coast, they did make one pick up there, and they started to get the dog pile on. But again, another Gragas ultimate that did not really land where they wanted it to. Actually gave Impulse some extra range, and they weren't able to really pull it off. So the Gragas really difficult to pull off with the ultimate and coordinate with your team, and not working out so far with Coast.
That's one of the things. We haven't seen Gragas in a while, and while people have been practicing him, that ultimate is not a for sure, hey, this is going to be successful for the team. It can actually mess things up quite a bit. So if that continues to happen, it only hurts the team more and more.
Yeah. Looks like Impact, once he gets his sneaky push grab here.
Popped up, Zephyr down, exhausted as well. They give Chris the treatment in the top lane, which is going to be another turret. And it looks like Impulse continues to extend their lead and their choke build here on the map. That Blade of the Rune King finish for Xiao as he comes out of base, and he might even get there in time to save bot, as Impulse themselves grab the top lane of Coast.
Yeah, it's a rough early showing here from the new guys for Coast, but they're facing a Team Impulse that's on the rise. A Team Impulse that's looked better and better each week of the North American LCS. ManCloud now taking turret aggro while Xiao goes 2 versus 1.
Why not?
In comes Impact as well. He's got the slow. They're dead.
Fight. Blade of the Rune King slow onto Quan. The equalizer goes down. A nice turnaround fadeaway rupture there coming from ManCloud, but he did have to flash to get himself to safety, so they're losing more ground every minute here.
Yeah. At this point, Impact and Xiao, even without ultimates, can push up with confidence.
Roam team now.
Blade of the Rune King is completed for Xiao. Even if the tanks had gotten tanky at this point, wouldn't be much of a problem.
Gonna miss out on that spike for quite some time here on Chris. He's a little short on gold, so the Triforce won't be mid-game power for them.
Yep.
Things are weighing against Coast. Even the pressure on their jungle here. Adrian as well. Looks like they may have actually, no, that was Rush's red buff. They go in, Chris is hurt. Heaven could be losing that blue over to somebody from Impulse here, but it looks like they may not be able to follow. They, however, always running for the hills right now, and Impulse need to keep this strong play up. Doing very well.
Oh, he got caught. He's dead.
That's what happens when you try to go too many times. Give the other team an opening, and that is going to be a 4-kill shutdown going over to Mash.
There's still no equalizer. They got to catch him.
Mashmee's Infinity Edge is there. He's also got sword. Get a little more crit out of that.
All right, all right.
Apollo could go down as
another
well.
one?
I'm confused as why Tip is still staying in these fights right now. They're losing people, and they're trying to get the retribution kills, but just losing more.
Yeah. We'll chalk that one up to hubris. They did use their ultimates already, so no equalizer meant that the jungle fight, not as bad as it could have been for Coast. So really good comeback, and we saw there Cho'Gath, multiple silences, good couple ruptures as well.
Dear.
Oh, good equalizer, but man, right into the AP Cho'Gath. Chris lives. What a comeback here on the way for Coast. They're still almost 7,000 down though, so long ways to go, but you see the inklings of what they're trying to do here. Cho'Gath did get a good silence onto Xiao, able to stop him for a while there. And they do want to use the feast on him as well. Anytime you're up against melee carries.
Yep.
Great little combo from Cho'Gath. Problem is, they're going to have to deal with a lot of other threats because Impact almost as is Zanya's done. Dragon stacking up obviously here for Rush and Team Impulse. Let's see if Heaven Time can pull off a steal. Or WT Heaven.
I know what you mean.
Dang it.
Everybody knows what you mean. And Heaven Time thanks you. He's gonna get a lot of publicity.
Shout outs to Heaven Time.
So they try for the steal, does not go down. The counter goes to 3. It'll go to 5, drop to 4. That's how we'll see that working throughout the game. And then go back to 5 if a team does grab Aspect. Baron is up and alive, but it's not even really on the board for Impulse to require to continue the pressure in this game. when Impact went to the mid lane, yeah, he died, but they still stopped Coast from getting any turrets, any map pressure. And I think it might have been where...
Yeah. I mean, it's a pure comeback game here for Coast.
Yeah.
Which are very difficult, but they have experience trying to do them. Impact here, looks like Chris is completely cornered, so see how long he can make them chase for. Not very long. Buys him enough time for a turret takedown, though.
No! Almost too early. He had to dash through. He'll get a next
Bought
time.
himself a couple extra seconds of camera time, though. Every second counts.
Did you see the Braum one? The Braum one's good. The one online. It's good. Check it out.
Right.
Not right now. Watch
LCS. Take a listen to this Baron, because Baron is really the great equalizer.
Oh. That's scary to do even when a team has that scuttle.
Yeah, they immediately run away. Now you gotta back off. You can contest Baron, maybe hope for a miracle team fight to come out, but definitely don't want to contest the blue buff there. Xiao already having dealt with his lane opponent down bottom, able to easily clean up the turret.
Yeah. So looking back at how everything panned out, a quick glance at CS. Lanes winning, each one for Impulse here. Xiao now 238 over 219. He's actually 1.5 thousand gold up on ManCloud.
3 people. Let's see if he can handle 3. You can handle a single Cho'Gath.
Still got barrier, so there's a slight play to be made here.
All right, stun is charged up. Let's see what he does with it.
Oh, he goes for mash. That's going to be the hit. He's got to do it again. He used the dash to get through heaven, and he will be back. That's the ultimate that could save his life. That's the solar flare. He's going to dash back through, but he doesn't have enough time. Chris locks him down. Equilibrium. Everything that he has, he closes down on the blades. We got a big push on Apollo here in the mid lane that ManCloud is trying to stop as well. And it looks like he's going to be able to grab the turret before Cloud gets there. That shield is now down on these turrets.
Another 1v1 here, Riv. Come on, Apollo, take this. Oh. Come on, outplayed.
Dodge the shout. That's most of the damage there. Good dash. True grit. Quick draw. He's going to be able to get him to safety and the turret as well. So the team now has control over the bottom of the map. Coast kind of scrambling here to make up for this.
Yep. They really just need to make some picks. That's really the only way you get back in this one. You know, catch Team Impulse split up. Maybe if Impulse keep on splitting and looking for those 1 versus 1s, Coast can turn the tides by bringing extra members and cheating. Team game, not cheating.
This is going to be good. Overall, for what Impulse has coming up, they look for Winter Fox and Dignitas. So imagine them having these 3 wins going into their game against CLG.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they're looking for, is consistency. They've beaten so many of the top teams now, also taking down the bottom teams with relative ease here is a good sign. Let's see how cleanly they finish it out. So far, not too many big mistakes here. Once they're so far ahead, they haven't gotten really too lazy yet.
Right.
Let's see, because they can easily group up and take down the 5v5. Xiao continuing to go solo here, though. And he gets 100%ed. This is
oh, wow,
the
they still
road
want to go
back
for
to
this.
victory here for
Pretty
Coast.
big damage from ManCloud.
They need Gragas to head up here. They do have numbers advantage now. Equalizer down.
Half health just from the Equalizer mash, but he's forced into the middle of the fight immediately. Impulse closes in from both sides and gives Coast 0 exits. It's just going to be a matter of time before they're able to find the kills.
Chris running for the hills. They've got him on the run now.
Heaven comes in right into the middle. Not taking too much just yet, but once they get the focus on, he's immediately down to half. Impact's now a little too far forward. Coast is trying to micro themselves in and out at the right times, but Impulse just has their eyes set on the right target each time they do it. A minute on to Dragon, and that pretty much frees things up for it.
3 for 2 for Coast, plus they got the teleport down from Impact. They will definitely take that trade. Chris tried to use his teleport as well, though, to escape, I believe, up when we lost him off camera, and he was trying to make an escape into Impulse territory. He was caught, though, so teleport's equalized. And now he's looking for the mid lane dance-off with Apollo. Apollo's scared, though. He's not going to step up.
Chris is just chilling. He's all relaxed.
Chris wins the dance-off, at least, after the team fight.
That looks fun. So Xiao back Back on
Yasuo
the
is definitely
split.
one of the most fun-looking champions. Yeah, that's for sure.
It's either like the wave dies immediately and you see all the gold, or you get to do something like that.
Yeah. When played well, Yasuo and Kalista, probably my 2 favorite champions to watch.
Yeah.
Kind of sad that Yasuo is not as popular as he once was. I saw the thing after, Katowice as well. The Korean solo queue. They don't like Yasuo so much that sometimes they will even AFK when someone picks it. That's very sad.
No.
Very sad to me.
Nobody AFKs.
All right, see, another turret here for Coast. Another stepping stone. On the way back into the game here.
They've gotten a bit of a surge. It hasn't taken them too much time to get this back, but it has also been Impulse with their eyes focused on other things. Number 4 means you're pretty close to number 5. That's
Also,
consecutive.
There's a Righteous Glory on Janna here. So Janna's going to lead the way with the Righteous Glory, and with the rework for her passive, she'll actually give more move speed to the rest of the team trying to catch up.
Yeah.
Let's see if Impact or Xiao can pull something off, because they're both going for solo kills here. Cho'Gath under fire. Down bottom, chases him right out of the lane. Mandatory Cloud does not want another 1 versus 1.
They're doing a really good job at sticking with the strategy. They haven't stopped the split push. They're not just trying to group around one turret and take it down. Always making sure that Coast is spread thin. As a team, we saw in the jungle, Coast was able to scrap back a few of those kills during that fight. So as long as they keep them apart, the tank on the bottom side with Xiao,
Yeah.
they'll be all right.
The thing is, they're really running out of time here, because Impulse Rush is one of the most diligent timers of keeping timers of pretty much everything in the game. Of all junglers I've ever seen or played with, Rush literally times everything. Both summer spells. Oh, let's see here.
Ooh, the crit hits. Collateral damage is not enough, even with the execute there. Whoa! Xiao running a marathon down mid lane. Not even looking before he leaps. Gets a kill for himself. Impact with a nice equalizer, but it looks like they aren't able to get through the choke point themselves. Oh, the spear just missing. They'll be able to get the kill, though. Apollo picks that one up. Gotta watch the Impact does not get eaten alive here by ManCloud in the jungle, but they're still fighting everywhere. They're gonna have pressure top.
Yep.
Looks like they're actually gonna focus it all mid, though.
Looks like we won't even get to the 5th dragon. The stacking up, and the timers will matter. Aha. As Impulse turn around for Baron, just gonna grab the inhibitor and get every neutral buff. Should be able to take that with ease. Teleport is back up, so the desperation play from Coast is available. They could just rush in here, hope for something glorious to happen. Not going to be able to pull it off, though. The teleport was pulled, so they looked for it. They're still looking for it.
Fight coming in. Look out. Chris heads up top. ManCloud, they're going to get out. All right, Heaven with the hit, but they're all getting choked. Where's the rest of the team here? It's not going to be Conquan able to follow. The solar flares off from the side. Heaven going to go down as well. And
that should be game.
Hitting up the Baron, they're going to go ahead and run down the mid lane.
Yeah, man, what a dominating performance from Impulse this game. Just crushing it. All right, Baron buff. Should be able to run straight in.
Great play all the way through, start to finish. The lanes matched up. We haven't seen it in a while, so we were wondering where the pressure from the jungle would be. It came from Rush. He had the first blood. Now Impulse is going to put the finishing touches on this game. 20-8, 21-8 as they start to finalize a few more kills. Take a little longer than they should to take down the Nexus Kobe, but playing with your food is something we all did at one point. And it is going to be Impulse taking down Coast. Strong play from Rush in the jungle. There was a lot of criticism in the beginning of the year, but to be in a category of severely improved, I think Rush falls into that category.
Definitely. He's definitely a guy that theory crafts a lot and thinks about the game during his off time. So no surprise really that he will be able to adapt to a fairly large patch pretty quickly here. So congratulations to Team Impulse, and rough go here for Team Coast in the North American LCS. I believe they are officially
Yes, sir.
10th place, locked in, and they cannot
That is correct.
move further up the standings.
That is a 9-6 for Impulse. We talked a little bit about what they are facing in Winter Fox, which they did not win that game in Week 4. Dignitas, Team Dignitas, and Counter Logic Gaming are their next 3. So looking towards the top of the standings for Impulse is definitely the way to go. I mean, every team is doing that.
Oh yeah, playoffs quickly approaching. Everybody in the top half of the bracket here. Game face is on. Looking to jockey for positioning during the playoffs.
Definitely improving their skill and kind of showing in that composition as well. They didn't play for a composition that Coast brought to the table. They played their composition, as Xiao Wei Xiao said in the beginning of the game. We'll play what the strategy we came to town with,
Yeah.
not what we think is going to beat the other team.
Yeah, and it was a lot of just individual outplays for Team Impulse.
Right.
So, they pretty much just took whatever they wanted and were able to pull off solo plays. I'm very interested, actually, in
What are you interested in?
Xiao Xiao's champion pool, because during the top versus the top teams, he's gone back to Karthus very often and
True.
hard farming champions. And we haven't seen too much variety from him. Although we are seeing different things like Yasuo and stuff, we aren't seeing him use that successfully versus the top teams. So I want to know if top teams do ban out or target his Karthus,
That's true.
what will be their
Looking at his other picks,
go-to.
like obviously you have the Xerath, which is safe, but the other ones aren't for sure. Is like we've seen a lot of Lulus lately. You know, Lulu LeBlanc is really good. You push, you do whatever. He's also had some Ezreals, but again, then you have to run the WAD. So they're not what you see from other laners. His Orianna doesn't really do huge things for the team either. So the champion pool might be cut a little bit as they approach the playoffs. Right now, we do have Dash and Chat, however, standing by at the telestrator to walk us through Team Impulse's win.
Thank you, Riv. Yes, a win there for Impulse, and I have to say, it kind of played out as expected.
Pretty much. I mean, we have to keep in mind, Coast is a 1-14 team now, potentially the worst team we've ever seen in the LCS in comparison to the competition. Impulse as well was on this big high note after the first 2-0 week, and they were looking a little bit overconfident coming in, laughing around. Maybe the Yasuo pick, is that a real pick for Xiao Wei Xiao, or did he just want to play it? But none of that ended up mattering because they were so dominant in this game, and Coast was unable to punish them.
Yeah, had to redeem himself after that loss on Yasuo earlier in the split.
Yeah.
Anyway, though, I want to jump into our first clip where we're going to go to the top lane. We're going to look at the tower dive that Impulse decided to follow through with.
Yeah.
We're going to set it up here with kind of the 1v1 that they have in the top lane prior to this. But it essentially, it kind of accentuates, one, the aggression that Impulse had. In that they felt free to do whatever they want around the map.
I think that's the most important thing, is the freedom that Impulse had and the inability for Coast to punish this overaggression. I mean, we look at the map right now, and there is nobody on that minimap that is even close. Literally, the other 4 members of Coast are on the other side of the map. So from a communication perspective, if Coast wants to punish this or get away from this, Chris has to get out of there. And he has his teleport up. So let's just actually roll this clip and show the opportunities he has to get away. So first off, they don't see Rush, so it's not that big a deal. He's just kind of doing his own thing, but he knows he has absolutely no support. So he's backing away from the jungle. Rush is plotting his gank, and he takes his sweet time with this one. He hops the wall, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing. He misses the spear. At this point, Chris, get out. Leave. You have no backup. When that spear misses, he has another window. He can teleport before the next spear would get him, and he could go. But once he waits past that point, he's dead.
Yeah. Even so, this whole time, he could still be DPing.
And here's where the break in communication happened for Coast, because after he is already dead, Cho'Gath and Gragas start roaming up on the minimap. But it's all too late. So not only did they have no presence there, Chris could not escape, and then they waste time for coming up, which to Impulse makes that seem like a worthy play. Yes, they got the kill, but Rush threw 3 or 4 spears. It should have been an escapable gank as well, and he wouldn't have had time after counter-jungling that. Like, that shouldn't have been a benefit for Impulse. Against a good team, that will not result in a positive play, but it did, and it's one of the things that kind of snowballed this game out of control.
All right, yeah, the opportunity there for them to put pressure elsewhere on the map definitely existed for the side of Coast. They didn't follow through on it.
Yeah.
Now, with the kind of mistakes that come into play when we're looking at a team like Coast, right? This is a normal thing or a regular thing with them, right? Where
like
they're not capitalizing on opportunities. Sometimes what I've noticed is that it can have a negative effect on the opposing team and the way that they play because they fall into some of the traps of not being punished for their mistakes.
I think this is going to be really interesting, like for the next game, when Impulse ends up playing their next opponent. They play Winter Fox tomorrow, a game that they should end up winning. But the thing there is teams are really bad record-wise games after they play Coast. We actually have another clip here on the Telestrator to show how sloppy they were playing, quite honestly. They were going full solo queue in a sense. Disrespect. This is like Rush rank 1 solo queue posturing when he's completely dominating the game. And everyone else also doing that own thing. Was in the middle of the game here.
Yeah, so we're going to pull that up, and we're going to take a look. This is about 20 minutes into the game in the bottom side jungle, and the result here was definitely positive for Coast in terms of a kill, getting some kills back. But when you look at everything that took place here and the amount of overstepping that Impulse did in order to donate these kills over, it's a little absurd.
Yeah, we can get right into this one. Just watch what Rush is doing here. Remember, he is a tier of the goddess Nidalee. He has no real tank stats outside of this, and he is just daring people to go in on him. Yes, they pushed him back, but then at this point, he's throwing spears. He's in front of everybody. No one is close. Leona could turn around, kill him at every moment. If Cho'Gath lands one spell, he's dead, and lo and behold, they actually lock him down.
Do.
And look what happens. He disappears. And then the problem with this is normally, after that happens, your team runs away. But Impulse is playing with such overconfidence that they say, nah, we got this. We can stick around. We can continue to stay in. And eventually, it is punished by Coast. But it took that much of a misplay in order for Coast to actually start turning that around. And once again, against the better teams in the LCS that Impulse needs to be ready to play against, that can't happen. And when they can get away with things like this on the LCS stage, I think it sets a bad precedent for them overall when trying to become a top-tier team. So, like, that's frankly a little bit disappointing from Impulse that they made those mistakes against such inferior opposition. And they need to clean that up for the rest of the LCS season.
Exactly, yeah. Looking at tomorrow and the fact that they're in that playoff race for positioning, they definitely need to clean things up and do a little bit better. You know, now with that loss, Coast is officially eliminated from the playoffs. So we're going to pull up the standings and take a quick look at those just so everybody can get a little picture at home. That is a win for TIP, which bodes well in terms of their playoff race. They definitely needed to secure that. But
they're going to be going, I mean, there's still a small chance that TIP could rise even farther in the standings. Coast completely relegated to the Challenger Series, 1-14. At this point, they're just going to be trying to play spoiler on teams. I did like their pick and ban risks this game, to be honest.
I have to say, it was nice to see the Cho'Gath, and the Cho'Gath actually performed decently in lane, but again, it was team errors, map-wide. Anyway, we are going to take a break while Team Liquid and Cloud9 prepare to face off in our second game of the day. Don't go anywhere. The NALCS continues after this.
All right, guys. I know we're on a loss streak, but there are people out there who believe in us.
Okay, we can win.
We can win!
Teleports at the same time, neither are stopped, so we're gonna get a good one. The Battle Royale in the bottom lane. Impact's gonna get blown away on that one. Was it Heaven saving him? The turnaround, one last shot. How deep is Apollo gonna go?
Careful.
Okay, careful though.
Rumble's here. Q2. This
I got TP behind him, I got TP behind him. Go. TP behind him.
This guy.
Coming.
Yeah, no barrier.
I got him.
I'm on Graves, Graves.
Heaven with the hit, but they're all getting choked. Where's the rest of the team here? It's not going to be Conquan able to follow. The solar flares off from the side, and it is going to be Impulse taking down Coast.